Today we talk about a giant on the world stage, India, and why Trump, the man who prides himself on being tough, cannot afford to go head-to-head with this powerhouse anymore. My friends, let me tell you something straight from the heart. When you look at India today, you are not looking at some quiet nation sitting in the corner of the world. No, you are looking at an economic engine, a machine that is roaring louder every single year. And this is the reason Trump cannot afford to be tough on India anymore. Because when you are standing in front of a freight train, you don't challenge it, you don't try to stop it with your bare hands, you jump on board and ride with it. India has become one of the fastest growing economies on the planet. It is not a small market, it is not a secondary market, it is one of the biggest consumer bases in the history of mankind. Over 1.4 billion people. That means 1.4 billion buyers, 1.4 billion dreamers, innovators, and contributors. Every global corporation from Apple to Tesla to Amazon wants a share of that market. They want to sell there, they want to invest there, they want to build there. Trump knows this. He knows that if America cuts ties or acts tough with India, it risks losing access to the biggest pool of opportunities in the modern world. That is not smart. That is not strength. That is self-destruction. Think about it. India today is not just making small strides. It is leaping forward in technology, infrastructure, and manufacturing. Cities like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Mumbai are buzzing with energy, with industries that are expanding like muscles after a heavy workout. You can see skyscrapers rising, industries booming, and millions of young professionals joining the global economy. Every single year, millions of Indians join the middle class, and when they do, they start buying cars, houses, electronics, clothes, luxuries, everything. This is not a market you want to punish. This is a market you want to embrace. Now imagine Trump trying to act tough, slapping tariffs, putting restrictions, trying to play hardball. Who loses? Not just India. America loses. American companies lose. The farmers in the Midwest who want to export to India lose. The energy sector that sells oil and gas to India loses. The tech giants that hire brilliant Indian minds lose. And Trump, the man who built his image on winning, cannot afford to put himself in a position where his own people lose. He understands this reality. That's why he has to step carefully. India's rise also changes the balance of power. It is not like 30 years ago when the West looked at India as just a developing country. Now India is a key player at the global table. It is part of the G20. It is influencing climate policy, trade policy, global security. When India speaks, the world listens. Trump can't just use his old playbook of intimidation and think it will work. It's like trying to intimidate a fellow champion on stage. You cannot bluff your way through. You must show respect. You must find common ground. You must build something together. And let's not forget one more truth. Economic interdependence. America and India are not isolated from each other. They are linked. India imports American energy, defense equipment, and technology. America depends on India's pharmaceuticals, its IT services, its engineers, its doctors, its innovation. This is a cycle, a partnership. If Trump breaks that with aggression, he does not just hurt India, he cuts America's own lifeline. So when I say India is an economic engine, I mean it is unstoppable. And Trump, as much as he loves to project himself as the tough guy, cannot afford to play games with a nation that holds this much power. To challenge India economically is like trying to stand in the middle of a stampede. You will be trampled. The only choice is to run alongside it, to channel that force, to work with it. That is why Trump must swallow his pride, keep his toughness in check, and accept the new reality, because in today's world, the winner is not the one who flexes the loudest, but the one who knows how to turn another powerhouse into a partner. That is the truth about India, and that is the truth Trump cannot escape. My friends, listen to me very carefully. When we talk about India, we are not just talking about a country with size and numbers. We are talking about brilliance, about talent, about the sharpest minds driving the modern world forward. And this is the second reason Trump cannot afford to be tough on India anymore, because India has become the brainpower behind the technology and innovation that fuel America's own strength. Without India's contribution, America would not be standing as tall in the global digital age. Look at Silicon Valley. You walk into the headquarters of Google, Microsoft, Adobe, or any major tech giant, and what do you see? You see Indian CEOs, Indian engineers, Indian innovators at the very top. Satya Nadella leading Microsoft, Sundar Pichai leading Google. These are not small roles, my friends. These are the men shaping the future of the internet, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and global connectivity. Trump knows this. He knows that to be hostile to India would mean being hostile to the very leaders who keep America competitive in the world of technology. You cannot insult the brains that help build your empire. It's not only about CEOs. It's about the millions of Indian engineers, coders, doctors, researchers, and entrepreneurs who power the American economy every single day. They are in hospitals saving lives, in universities creating breakthroughs, in tech companies writing the code that keeps America ahead of China, Russia, and everyone else. This talent pipeline is not something you shut down with tough policies or arrogance. This is something you protect, something you encourage, because without it, your country begins to shrink while others rise. Trump understands this very clearly. Now think about the digital revolution. Every future industry, artificial intelligence, space exploration, quantum computing, green energy, depends on innovation. And where is the innovation happening? India is producing the world's largest pool of young engineers, scientists and entrepreneurs. Startups in Bengaluru are creating apps and platforms that reach millions across the globe. Indian companies are pioneering fintech, edtech and health tech solutions that even the West is adopting. If Trump tries to act tough, America risks losing access to this ocean of creativity. He cannot afford that, because in today's world, the country that controls innovation controls the future. Another point is cost and scale. The reason America's tech giants dominate the world is not only because of their vision, but also because of their ability to harness India's massive IT workforce. From call centers to coding hubs, India provides both quality and scale at a speed no other country can match. Without India, the costs go up, the efficiency goes down, and the competition gains an edge. So for Trump, being tough on India is like cutting off the very arm that keeps America punching strong in the fight for global dominance. But here's the real key. Innovation is not just about money. It is about mindset. The Indian mindset is about problem solving under pressure. It is about doing more with less. That is why Indian talent thrives in Silicon Valley, why they rise to the top in competitive environments. They are used to working hard, thinking creatively, and delivering results. That is why American companies love them, and that is why Trump cannot afford to alienate them. If he creates hostility, if he makes India feel disrespected, that talent will flow elsewhere, to Europe, to Asia, to rival nations. And when that happens, America weakens. So understand this, Trump cannot simply play the game of tariffs, threats and intimidation when it comes to India. Because India is not just a market, it is the lifeblood of global innovation. It is the engine that keeps the tech giants roaring, that keeps America ahead of its enemies. And if Trump tries to play tough, he risks turning away the very allies who build the tools that protect America's leadership in the 21st century. This is the reality. In bodybuilding, you don't tear down the muscles that make you strong. You build them, you feed them, you make them grow. In politics and economics, the same truth applies. India is the muscle of innovation, and Trump cannot afford to be the one who weakens it. He has no choice but to respect it, to embrace it, and to work with it. Because if he doesn't, the future will not wait for him. The future will move forward with India, and America will be left behind. My friends, let me tell you something very important. Power in the world is not just about money, and not just about technology. Power is also about strategy, about security, about who stands with you when the world becomes dangerous. And this is why Trump cannot afford to be tough on India anymore. Because India is not just another country, it is a strategic military ally, and in this new world of shifting power, America needs India more than ever before. Look at the map. Look at Asia. What do you see? You see China rising like a giant dragon, spreading its influence across the Pacific, across Africa, across the Middle East. China is building its military, building its economy, building its alliances. For America, this is the greatest challenge of the century. And who is the one country that sits on the front line against China? It is India. With a border of thousands of kilometers, with a history of conflict and competition, India is the counterweight to Chinese power. If Trump tries to act tough with India, he risks pushing away the very partner America needs to balance the dragon. Think about the Indo-Pacific strategy. America talks about freedom of navigation, about keeping sea lanes open, about stopping authoritarian control of the oceans. But America cannot do this alone. It needs allies, strong, reliable allies. Japan, Australia, and above all India. That is why the Quad Alliance was formed, to show unity against China's expansion. Without India, the Quad collapses. Without India, America loses its most powerful partner in South Asia. Trump knows this. He knows that no matter how much he loves to project dominance, he cannot fight this battle alone. He must keep India close, because in the game of global strategy, one wrong move can cost everything. India is not weak militarily. It has one of the largest standing armies in the world. It has advanced missiles, nuclear capability, a growing navy, and air power that is expanding every single year. America sells billions in defense equipment to India. Fighter jets, helicopters, drones, artillery. This is not charity. This is partnership. If Trump acts tough, India can turn elsewhere, to Russia, to France, to its own domestic industry, and America loses not just billions in trade, but also its strategic edge. Trump is a businessman. He understands that losing your biggest client in the defense market is not just a loss of money, it is a loss of influence. And let's talk about terrorism. For years, both America and India have faced the threat of terrorism. From 9/11 to the Mumbai attacks, both nations know the pain of innocent lives lost. That is why intelligence sharing, counter-terrorism cooperation, and military exercises between the two countries are so important. If Trump becomes hostile, he risks weakening this cooperation. And in a world where terrorists are always planning the next move, that is a risk no leader can afford to take. Now let's talk about geography. India is not just a country, it is a bridge. It connects the Middle East, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Indian Ocean. Whoever has India as a friend has access to one of the most strategic regions on Earth. America cannot afford to lose that position. Without India, China and Russia would dominate the region. With India, America maintains balance. So Trump, as much as he enjoys flexing his muscles, must recognize that some fights are not worth it. You do not push away the friend who guards your flank. My friends, strength is not only about lifting the heaviest weight in the gym. Strength is also about wisdom, about knowing when to fight and when to stand with an ally. India is that ally. It is the shield against China, the partner in security, the buyer of weapons, the contributor in global stability. Trump cannot afford to be tough on India, because without India, America becomes weaker, isolated and vulnerable. With India, America becomes stronger, more secure, and ready to face the challenges of the century. This is the truth of power. Alone you are strong, together you are unstoppable. And Trump, deep inside, knows this truth. That is why he cannot afford to turn his toughness against India. Because in this new era of global battles, America needs India by its side, not against it. My friends, let me explain something with absolute clarity. Nations are not only connected by borders or by history, they are connected by trade, by energy, by the constant flow of goods and services that keep economies alive. And this is why Trump cannot afford to be tough on India anymore. Because the ties between America and India are not just diplomatic, they are financial arteries, they are energy pipelines, they are billions of dollars in weapons, oil, gas, technology and services. To cut those ties with a tough stance is to stab your own body in the chest. It is foolishness, and Trump, as much as he loves to look like the strongest man in the room, knows he cannot afford to take that kind of self-inflicted damage. Look at trade. India is one of the largest buyers of American goods. From agricultural exports, soybeans, almonds, wheat, to high-tech machinery, airplanes and chemicals, India's market is open to American products. Farmers in Iowa and manufacturers in Texas depend on that demand. You cannot slap tariffs on India and expect no consequence. India has options. If America doesn't sell, somebody else will. Russia, China, Europe, and the losers will be American businesses and American workers. Trump built his entire political brand on the promise of protecting American jobs. How would it look if his own toughness against India cost those jobs? He knows this is a risk he cannot take. Now let's look at energy. India is one of the fastest growing energy markets in the world. Its demand for oil, gas, and renewable energy is exploding as its population and industries expand. America is a major supplier of liquefied natural gas and crude oil to India. Billions of dollars flow every year because India needs energy security and America wants to sell. If Trump acts tough, if he creates friction, that trade slows down or shifts toward Middle Eastern suppliers or Russia, America loses billions, and more importantly, loses influence over India's energy future. No leader with vision allows that to happen. Then there is defense. India is one of the top importers of weapons in the world, and in recent years America has become a key supplier. From Apache helicopters to P-8 surveillance planes, from advanced artillery to drones, billions of dollars worth of deals are signed. This is not just about money, this is about building trust, about aligning militaries, about making sure India is equipped with American technology rather than Russian or Chinese alternatives. If Trump tries to pressure India too much, India can easily turn to France for Rafale jets, to Russia for S-400 systems, or even to its own domestic defense programs. America loses not only contracts but also strategic leverage. That is not strength, that is stupidity. Trade is not one way. India also exports to America pharmaceuticals, software, textiles, machinery. India is a supplier that keeps American businesses running and American consumers satisfied. Consider pharmaceuticals. India produces a huge share of generic medicines that keep healthcare affordable in the United States. You cannot afford to be tough on the country that supplies your hospitals with life-saving drugs. If Trump tried to play hardball, prices would rise, shortages could appear, and the American people would feel the pain directly. That would not look like strength. That would look like weakness and poor leadership. And don't forget services. India's IT sector provides billions of dollars in services to American companies every year. From managing data systems to developing apps, India's contribution keeps corporate America efficient and competitive. If Trump acts tough, if he limits cooperation, those services do not vanish. They simply go to other markets, and America falls behind in the race of efficiency. No champion chooses to handicap himself. So my friends, you see the truth. Trump, as much as he enjoys confrontation, cannot confront the very partner that fuels his economy. Energy ties, trade ties, defense ties, these are muscles that make the America-India relationship strong. To flex against India is to tear those muscles apart, and that would leave America weaker. In bodybuilding, you don't starve your body of protein. You don't punish your muscles by refusing to feed them. You give them what they need to grow. In the same way, America must feed its relationship with India, not starve it. Trump knows that if he turns tough, he risks starving his own country of opportunity, of energy, of trade. And that, my friends, is why his toughness must take a back seat to cooperation, because in the end, winning is not about shouting the loudest, it is about building the strongest partnerships, and India is exactly that partner. My friends, let me bring it all together now. Beyond the dollars, beyond the weapons, beyond the energy and the technology, there is something even bigger. It is called influence. It is called moral authority. It is called the power of democracy. And this is why Trump cannot afford to be tough on India anymore. Because India is not only an economic engine or a military ally, it is the world's largest democracy. And with that comes a weight, a credibility, and a voice that cannot be ignored. To clash with that voice is not strength, it is political suicide. Think about it. When America talks about freedom, about liberty, about democracy, who can stand beside it and claim the same values on a massive scale? It is not Russia, it is not China, it is India. Over 1.4 billion people living under a democratic system, voting, debating, participating. Yes, it is imperfect, just like every democracy is, but it is alive, it is strong, it is resilient. If Trump tries to attack India, or act tough, he does not just push away a country, he pushes away a symbol, a beacon of democracy that gives America's own message more weight in the world. That is something no smart leader can afford to do. India also carries influence across the developing world. In Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East, nations look at India as a role model, a country that rose from poverty, that built industries, that grew strong without abandoning democracy. India's voice is respected in the global south, where America's voice often struggles. When India speaks, these nations listen, and if Trump fights with India, if he disrespects it, he loses a bridge to billions of people across the world. He would be isolating America at a time when America needs friends more than ever. Now think about international institutions, the United Nations, the G20, the World Trade Organization, climate summits. India is not a small player anymore. It has a seat at the table, and it is using that seat with confidence. It influences global trade policy, climate policy, security decisions. If Trump tries to go tough, America risks facing India, not as a partner, but as an opponent inside these institutions. And when the world sees America opposing the world's largest democracy, who looks bad? Not India, America. That is a risk Trump cannot afford. Democracy also gives India soft power, the ability to win hearts and minds. Bollywood films, yoga, cuisine, culture and ideas flow across the globe, winning admiration and affection. This is not trivial. Soft power builds trust, builds partnerships, builds influence in ways bombs and missiles never can. America benefits when it aligns with India's soft power. If Trump turns hostile, America looks like the bully while India looks like the champion of the people. In the long run, perception is power, and Trump, despite his bravado, knows perception can destroy or uplift leaders. And let's not forget one more truth: the Indian diaspora. Millions of Indians live and work in America, contributing to every sector from medicine to finance to technology. They are not outsiders. They are American citizens, voters, innovators, community leaders. To be tough on India risks alienating this entire community, a community that is vibrant, politically active, and respected. Trump cannot afford to antagonize them. It would not only damage his domestic standing but also weaken the natural bridge between the two nations. So my friends, understand this. Democracy is not weakness. Democracy is power. And India, by being the largest democracy, holds a kind of legitimacy and influence that no authoritarian state can match. This is why Trump cannot afford to act like a strongman against India. Because the minute he does, he is not just fighting a government, he is fighting an idea of freedom and people power that billions admire. And no leader in history has ever won a war against an idea that's strong. In bodybuilding, your reputation matters. When you walk on stage, it's not just your muscles, it's your presence, your aura, the respect you command. The same is true in global politics. America's strength is not only its weapons or its economy, it is its reputation as the defender of democracy. Aligning with India strengthens that reputation. Attacking India weakens it. Trump knows this, and that is why he cannot afford to be tough on India anymore. This is the truth. India is not just another country. It is the partner that makes democracy global, that gives America's message legitimacy, that helps balance power in a divided world. Strength must respect strength, and Trump, whether he admits it or not, knows he must respect India, because without that respect he risks losing far more than a trade deal or an election. He risks losing America's place as the true leader of the free world.